we got another one, y'all.
I'm the realest is running. I just happen to rap. I'm the realest is running. I just happen to rap. I'm the realest is running. I just happen to rap.
What up, everybody? Once again, it's your boy A.P.T. back with another wonderful album music review. Let's get into it. Alright, so as you guys may know, Jay-Z is the king of trilogy albums. He first started out with In My Lifetime Volumes 1, 2, and 3. And then he came out with the Blueprint. First with the Blueprint 1 and then with Blueprint 2. And for this next album, he decided to go back to the Blueprint formula and call it Blueprint 3. In other genres such as rock and roll or country, R&B and stuff like that, you know, people tend to respect a person getting older and better at what they're trying to do. The problem with rap is, as people get older, they've always said rap is a young man's game, and people come into the game automatically going for the heads of the elder statesmen, you know, saying, oh, they're old, they don't know what they're talking about, they can't relate to us, they ain't talking about the same stuff they used to. And Jay-Z has also run into this problem because a lot of fans that he has now, you know, they want to, quote, hear classic Jay and old Jay-Z and this and that. So upon first hearing the Blueprint 3, a lot of people may be turned off by it. Because, you know, Jay's no longer in hustler mode in terms of being a street hustler, in terms of selling crack, cocaine, and stuff like that, in terms of hanging out on the block. So a lot of those classic elements that people really like about Jay-Z aren't going to be there. And he says to himself in the song on to the next one, he says, hey, niggas want my old shit, buy my old albums. Like, I ain't that person no more. So if you want to hear some old Jay-Z spitting, you got to go back. But with that said, I would say this album really delivers. First off, we start with beat selection. Now, much in the same way Eminem did with Relapse in terms of getting Dre as a sole producer, the majority of the beats on this album were produced by Kanye and No ID. And unlike the first Blueprint where Kanye did a whole lot of soulful beats and, you know, old samples and old school samples and stuff like that, he really went out of the box on this one. I mean, he's got some stuff that have samples to him, but a lot of the stuff is just like some just rhythmic, absolutely challenging, really, really good beats. The beats always tend to sound pretty good in terms of the stuff that Kanye produced. Now, there are some other producers also on the album. You got Timberland, you got Pharrell, you got Swiss Beats. Depending on the producer, you get a different sound. So not all the beats, like with Relapse, at least the beats cohesively went together. With this album, they don't all necessarily match together in terms of like a well-flowing of the album, but they're, for the most part, pretty energetic, very, very entertaining. Got a nice like drum sounds in some and samples in the other ones and horns and a lot of sounds that you don't necessarily hear in what people consider hip-hop today. You know, you don't hear a lot of techno sounds in hip-hop unless you go to like somebody like Flow Rider. So the fact that Jay was able to pick some of those type of beats out and use them really kind of shows where his head's at in terms of being a little bit ahead of everybody else in the game that's just trying to go for like a southern bounce or something like that. In terms of style and delivery, I mean, Jay-Z's never been the type of person that has the same flow on like all of his songs. So because he doesn't write stuff, with people that write stuff, you tend to have the same pattern. It's like with Jay-Z, he might be, you know, I'm blah 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 and then blah blah blah, and then the next one it's like blah 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 blah, and somehow it always manages to stay on beat and it always manages to go well with the song, regardless of what he's talking about. It just, his flow cannot be denied. It is bar none one of the best in the business lyrically. Now, the problem with judging Jay's lyrics is that people, again, they're so stuck on past Jay-Z that they're expecting past Jay-Z lyrics to match up with today's Jay-Z. The problem is, you know, Jay-Z is still, he's still got that wit, he's still got wordplay, but because it's not about hustling or, you know, types of things like that, people say, oh, Jay's falling off, he's just lazy. It's like, no. If you really just sit down and just listen to the lyrics and how he's using wordplay and how he's using, you know, different patterns here and there and stuff like that, he is really on his game. He has a line in the second song on the album called Thank You, where he says, who would have thought that making birds migrate for the winter that I would be fly all summer? I mean, come on, that's a hot line. You can't even deny that's a hot line. I don't be in the project hallways talking about how I'll be in the projects all day, because he knows he's not in the projects. So y'all hating because he's not spitting like old Jay-Z, but y'all be clowning him if he's trying to act like old Jay-Z. It's like he gave y'all Kingdom Come, y'all hate it because it was some grown man stuff. So he gives y'all American Gangster talking about hustling, and some of y'all hate it because he's talking about hustling. So he knows at this point he can't win. So he just better just do what he's doing. Another one. The city never sleeps. Better slip you an Ambien. Come on, man. Sleeps, Ambien. Come on. That's some slick lines right there. Hey, close your eyes. You can smell. Hove's the audio equivalent of Braille. Come on. That's some, who, you don't hear somebody, Soulja Boy saying that, or Young Chris saying that kind of stuff. So in terms of lyrics, you cannot deny that the slick lines and the clever wordplay is not there. Now, what I will say The one thing that he did kind of not do so much on this album that he used to do in the past that I kind of wish he would do a little bit more is storytelling. He spends a lot of the album basically defending the fact that he should still be in rap because, you know, he's approaching 40, people saying he shouldn't be in it. So he does a lot of that stuff in terms of defending himself and saying why he deserves to be relevant in the game still. But in terms of like the storytelling elements, you know, the Jay-Z that, you know, kind of takes you through a journey of something happening, he really lessens that on this album. You know, he has some songs where the whole third verse will be, you know, a story that doesn't necessarily connect with the first two parts, and it's great, but it's like you wonder how it would have been if he had stretched it out more. He does have a couple of songs in here where it's mostly storytelling mode. I know Venus versus Mars, where he's talking about being with the girl but not really being with her, you know, how he's trying to feel about that. That's a good storytelling song, but for the most part, he's just kind of like defending himself and doing slick wordplay, which again is fine because he does it in a way that's absolutely great. I just would have liked to see a little bit more of it. There were a couple of songs that I thought were pretty weak on the album. The song he did with Pharrell called So Ambitious, it just sounds like a Lazy Neptunes beat. And the chorus is kind of lazy. The song itself, I mean, it's an okay song. I just would have liked to hear it on a different beat. And then one of the problems that Jay-Z tends to have with albums, just at least in my opinion, is that he ends the albums terribly. So with this one, he ends with Forever Young featuring Mr. Hudson, where he's, you know, he has Mr. Hudson singing about Forever Young. And it's just, I mean, I guess I get what he's trying to do, trying to end the album like, you know, you're cruising off into the sunset. But honestly, it doesn't really work for me. He could have finished off with a stronger song. You know, there were actually some songs that he left off the album that I wish he would have had on there that could have ended the album better. One of them was Ghetto Techno, which some of y'all may not be a fan of, but it's just, it's a good club song, and it's kind of like a good way to end the album on a party note. And seeing as most of the album is actually kind of up-tempo and fast-paced, it would have been nice to kind of have like a semi-mellow but semi-fast-paced song to also end out on. Also, for some reason, why wasn't Jock and Jay-Z on here? Like, I don't know if y'all necessarily like that song, but I mean, I was jamming that song. I still jam that song. I have it on my copy. Like, I had to download it and put it back on because I'm like, that's a hot song, and I'm surprised it didn't make the album because that would have been a good song to end on also, you know? And also, I would have liked to see his version of When the Money Goes. As you know, it was put on Fabulous's album as a remix with Fabulous's verses in lieu of Jay-Z's. But Jay-Z's version was straight. Like, I would have liked to see Jay-Z's version on this album, too. Overall, Blueprint 3, man, I mean, some of y'all that, if you feel as though you'd like to hear some more classic Jay, like Reasonable Doubt or Volume 1 or Volume 2, sorry, you're not getting this Jay-Z. He's not that guy anymore. He's going to talk about stuff that he's living and experiencing now. So if you can't relate to him flying on at the Clearport on Lear jets and, you know, popping Ace of Spades and clubs and, you know, that kind of stuff, then you are not going to like this album. However, if you just want to album you just jam to and hear some classic Jay spitting some lines and, like, you know, really just, I mean, Jay-Z's stuff on his absolute worst day is better than 99.99% of the rap game today. So at the very least, if you take some time to really sit down and listen to it, you know, Jay-Z stuff sometimes takes a while to get, but if you hear it long enough and you really listen to what he's saying and stuff like that, this will be an enjoyable album. Me personally, if I had to give it a rating of some kind, I would give it an 8.5. Some of y'all may not agree. Some of y'all may put it in the 7 realm or whatever. But for me, I know the type of Jay-Z that I like. I don't necessarily like soulful Jay-Z all the time. I actually like commercial Jay-Z, stuff I can dance to, things I can like get my groove and party to and stuff like that. And that's what I got. I like slick punchlines and clever wordplay. That's what I got. So for me, it's an 8.5. So I say definitely buy it when it comes out. It is definitely worth getting a copy of to have the booklet and have the actual CD in your hands. And it will definitely be an enjoyable listen. That's A.P.T, man. Hope you enjoyed the review. Some other albums come out that I want to review for you guys, or you have any suggestions for things you want me to review, please let me know. I always listen to albums, and I'm always liking to review stuff. Also, hope you like the shirt. This shirt will be on sale very, very soon. In fact, when it is, you'll see a link for it somewhere on here, and I'll let you know where you can buy it. All right, that's A.P.T, man, and I'm out. Peace out.
Obama, 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 Obama,
Yeah.
Obama, Obama,
Going in.
Obama, 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 Obama,
Call him president, he's the next new president. He is